you very much for the introduction. Good afternoon, and welcome to this session on AI and legal architecture of innovation. I'm going to start by briefly introducing the members of the panel. Starting at my left, Amador Rodriguez, Senior Associate at Cuatro Casas, David Miranda, partner at Osborne Clark, and Pedro Fernandez, also partner at Pérez Llorca. I'm going to start with a very direct question on the role of AI in transformation of legal services. In particular, I would like to ask you, in your specific areas of practice, in M&A and venture capital, how does AI impact your day-to-day work, and how is this gain of efficiency adding value to the legal service that you give to your client? Would you like to start, Amador?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Legal services, as many other cognitive professions, is changing dramatically. We have been using AI in the firm for almost 3 years since the very beginning. And what I can tell as of today is that it is changing by the week. And we expect that, or the expert expects that in the near future, over 90% of the tasks we do will be assisted by AI. And yeah, this is here, and it's already in the transaction, not only in venture capital deals, but also in M&A. The machine already assists us in digesting huge amounts of information in short period of time. It assists us in drafting, reviewing agreements, and in pretty much all the steps, it has somehow a presence. And yeah, in fact, last week we were joking with a colleague about how we miss the old times when you can expect that an agreement, a long-form contract, takes some days to come back instead of some hours. It's not happening anymore like that, but jokes aside, what I can say is that this is a predictive tool, a very powerful predictive tool, but that commits mistakes. And those mistakes are not obvious at all. In fact, only a skilled and an experienced professional can detect those mistakes. And there are other challenges, such as the so-called Dunning-Kruger effect, because yes, some lawyers can overestimate the machine, and perhaps sometimes they may allow the machine to take the lead of the advice by imposing the criteria, and this is obviously a risk, because I want to remind everyone here in the room that what makes us unique is the knowledge and obviously a judgment. And just to finalize this intervention, as one of our former partners, who is very skilled in AI, and now he's working for Harvey, used to tell us, one thing is the process and other thing is the result. And in fact, the client never paid us for the mean, for the process, for elaborating a document, but for thinking and for designing a solution and delivering a solution. And this is the value of the lawyer, and it will be the value of the lawyer, in my view.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I pretty much agree with what Amador has said. And basically, you had asked me this question probably even 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I remember we have the M&A Tech annual meeting of the International Bar Association a couple of years ago in Barcelona, and the trending topic was artificial intelligence. I remember talking to partners from some of the law firms, and they would say, well, I think that everybody is still in the very beginning, and things are going to change very slowly. But actually, now especially, I would say in the last year and a half, most law firms have been adopting specific tools for artificial intelligence. Basically, we have 2 big players in legal tech in the world, which is Harvey, what already mentioned by Amador, and the other one is Legora, which is Sweden. Harvey is American, and basically, I would say that most big law firms are adopting one or the other. There are some law firms like Kirtland & Ellis, which is the largest law firm by revenue, the first law firm to reach $10 billion, more than $10 billion in revenue, and 62% profit margin, which is huge. These guys, there was a news in the Financial Times last week. They were saying that they were going to invest in the next 3-4 years roughly $500 million in creating their own artificial intelligence tool. So all law firms are basically adapting to this new world, but there are certain things. It will obviously speed up the process of reviewing documents. What Amador says that rather than expecting the document to come back to you in 1 week, it comes back in 24 to 48 hours. Also helping in due diligence, in efficiency. But there are things that artificial intelligence so far cannot do. And for instance, is negotiation. Basically, a couple of months ago, we had long negotiations, Pedro and myself, with client, long hours.
I hope we'll keep doing that.
Yeah, we will keep, and hopefully we'll keep being friends, even though we have, our disagreements. But and these things, this is something that the artificial intelligence cannot do. Reading also the mindset on the table and helping to understand the psychology of the parties, right? So far, unless they create a robo-lawyer, which is something that I expect to be retired when they do that, there is something that we still need the human touch for anything related to artificial intelligence.
Pedro.
And you're the last one, so
you don't know what. You pretty said everything. Well, I agree with you. I mean, it came to the legal sector probably later than in other vertical, in other areas, but really arrived. I mean, we've been, like you guys, using AI for a long time, but my perception is that really in the last weeks, it really changed the landscape. We're using Legora, we're using Copilot, and we're using Vincent. But I will begin by two negative aspects of the massive usage of the AI. For me, the first one is the data. I mean, all the companies don't really know what is happening with the data. Many times happen that you send a confidential document in a transaction, and the other parties at a private level share those documents, those confidential information, only God knows with AI. And I mean, we need to handle that with a lot of care. I mean, in a law firm, you need to shield your data. I mean, another discussion is whether in this AI that we use the data is shield, but this is another discussion. Clearly, if you are doing at a private level, you're not doing that. And the second negative consequence of this massive use of the AI without control is that in many transactions, we receive comments of lists of issues, clearly produced by AI, with no sense, that make us to lose ton of hours to explain that was either an hallucination or something that, it is not related to the case. No? Having said that, as you said, guys, with Legora, it is not magic, but it saved you massive time. Only in proofreading, translation, cross-reference, definitions, charts, use of information, and producing a first draft of an agreement. All the law firms already have tools for doing that, but now it's much more faster. It is perfect. No, it is not. It is not. Sometimes, as you said, you need the skill to really know if what you're receiving is correct or not. The other day I was doing a consultation, a private one in relation to an increase of share capital and the time that you have to give back the monies if you don't execute the share capital at the end. And it was Claude who said, no, I agree with you, it's in that article. And I said, okay, I was right. But then I said, no, but that article is not correct. That article is the exclusion of the preemptive right. And he or it said, I agree with you, I invented that. So, invented. It is what it is, no? But, we also use Copilot for managing the Outlook, which for me is very convenient, at least to check if there is any missing email that I didn't answer, or if there's an email in which I was the only person of the firm copied and I didn't answer that. And we also use Vincent, which is the AI of Vilex, which is the database, which is very useful for court decisions. Having said that, handle with care is my conclusion, with extreme care.
Just a think, because I was dabbing on telling this or not, but yes, could be a very powerful tool for getting more efficient within the transaction, but it could be the opposite, because in one transaction, I'm not saying names, obviously, but...
Other law firm, right?
Other law firm.
Not represented in this panel.
Here, we received like memos of explaining the position drafted by AI. You know, the typical thing you say loudly within a call and a negotiation call, it was written in plenty pages, 20 pages of elaborating on why they are asking for something. And they expect us to read, to digest this information and to replay. So it could be the opposite. A misuse is not only dangerous, but inefficient.
Well, thank you for pointing this also, Amador. And now I'd like to move the conversation to AI legal practice and legal education. And I think for most law schools, the challenge that we face currently is to find a balance, and while teaching our students the correct use of AI, and there's a group of law schools where IE is part of, that we already offer license to all of our students. In our case, we offer students and faculty a license to use Harvey. Others use other either AI tools for legal services or general AI tools, but at the same time, we want to make sure that we focus on critical thinking and valuable judgment. So letting the students use an AI tool cannot be a shortcut to train in critical thinking and in valuable judgment. We need to do a more sophisticated and more complex education to guarantee that they acquire the competencies of critical thinking. So my question for you is, how do you plan to train your junior lawyers, while in the past, junior lawyers went through a process of training when they joined any of your firms or institutions by working closely with an associate and then a partner? If they start working, being more efficient, and they go faster in the ladder of the kind of work they need to do, they don't have to go through a traditional due diligence, they don't have to go through a traditional drafting from scratch, and all of this they do with AI, so the result during the first 6 months or first year of legal practice is more efficient. But what about the training? How do they acquire the culture of the firm, the expertise, the relationship with the client, the working in a team? Maybe we'll start with Pedro this time.
Well, I'm relatively optimistic about this, okay? If AI ends with the humanity and with the lawyer and there is a zombie epidemic, okay, I was wrong.
When is the optimistic part?
I mean, no, but I was wrong. I was wrong, but I don't think that will happen. I mean, I think that the AI is an incredible tool for juniors. And I mean, believe it or not, when I began practicing law, it was not the era of the big firm with a lot of models that were already cooked there and with internet where you could copy things. I mean, I've been doing securities market for many years, and you learn, I mean, securities market, the documents of the transaction are public. So, I mean, before that, we need to draft anything from scratch. I mean, your boss came, my old partner, my boss was at the time Fernando Torrente, came one night and said, you have to draft the regulation of a listed company for the board of directors. And I said, what's that? He said, it's a regulation to avoid conflict of interest and the confidential information of the board members. I said, okay, and he left, and I began Article 1. Name, regulation of the board of directors. It was for Dynamia, the IPO of Dynamia. Second, third, fourth, I mean, I'm sure what I produced was an absolute disgrace. But you know, I really thought about that. Then came the copy or the cut and paste. I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel every time. You have models. You don't need to think any cloth from the scratch. It doesn't make sense. And when a junior lawyer came and present you a draft of something, and you ask, why this is here? And there was no answer. It's because the cut and paste. But it's a good tool to learn. But Now you have the AI. I mean, for me, the AI is that when you are working late at the firm, you are not alone. I mean, you have a doubt, you can, I mean, handle with care is what we concluded in the first question, but you can ask. I mean, you can ask a specific question. You can ask why somebody is requesting a change. You can ask if a clause that you are drafting, which is very complex, work. I mean, I think it's an excellent tool to learn with assistance, but I agree with you, the temptation is very big. I mean, because in the cut and paste, you need at least to maintain the decency that things make sense. I mean, the temptation when you are working late is to press the button and, you know, send that. But that's your problem. I mean, and I also agree with you that the timing also impacts the learning. If you have to do something in days, I mean, the knowledge goes inside you. It does go very fast. I mean, it will be more difficult, but I think it's a great opportunity.
David, how would you say the junior lawyers can acquire the skills? The rather impact skills or soft skills that accompany the legal technical skills while using AI?
Well, soft skills, it's something that I don't think right now the artificial intelligence can still teach you, these soft skills that you need to have when you are a lawyer and you enter a negotiation room and you discuss with other parties. But in any case, generally, I agree, artificial intelligence is a very powerful tool for the legal profession. It's challenging for junior lawyers because I had this discussion with some partners in my law firm. I mean, this is incredible what we get from the artificial intelligence. Do we really need to still have junior lawyers? But eventually, you need junior lawyers because otherwise, you need to keep the firm growing, right? So I tend to believe that in the legal profession, we are going to go to smaller teams, like some law firms like Wachtel, which is one of the largest American law firms. They always have this ratio, one partner and one associate. It's like, I call it the rule of two of the Sith, the Star Wars, you know, that they have the master and the apprentice. And I think we are moving towards that position, that approach, because you know, you don't need a bunch of junior lawyers right now because there is a lot of things that is being done by the artificial intelligence. But for the junior lawyers, one of the things they need to do is think first and use the AI tool afterwards, because otherwise, you know, there are still hallucinations, and sometimes you receive reports. You receive reports that are incredible, and say, "Oh, this is incredible English, very well construction of the paragraphs, everything looks perfect," and then there is hallucination because there is this article that is quoted wrong, and it happened even in big American law firms that they have filed. I remember that one partner from a very big American law firm, he had to apologize to a judge because they have filed a report in a bankruptcy process where there was some court precedents that were completely invented by the machine. So they had to make an apology. And here in Spain, there have been cases where lawyers have filed documents with the court, and the court have sanctioned those lawyers because there were references to articles or to court precedents that were completely invented.
Yeah. So think first and then use
and then
AI.
use the tool. Yeah.
Yes. Amador.
Well, just for context, because I know we have here a lot of lawyers, but we may have other professionals. For context, in big law, the training and education of the junior associates is a critical matter. I would say it is an obsession, because perhaps even when they are trainees or junior associates, at some point they may even unprofitable. Are an investment of the firm, so are the future of the firm. And yeah, but if we stop to think about it for a second, I think that the practice of law has always changed along with the information technologies and happened. You know, we experience other revolutions. Perhaps let's accelerate it, and this is true. But For me, not using this tool in the education, in the university first, and then at the very beginning in the firm, it is not even possible. It is not realistic at all. It is obvious that we have some challenges, the critical thinking, the judgment, the development of the judgment and the criteria. It is quite important, and we need to face this challenge to combine those factors and to make them to understand that this is the present, not the future. So this is a skill that is required to use this technology and to use it properly. What I can say is that we all in Big Law invest a lot of time and a lot of resources in educating them. But what I personally do when I receive a deliverable from a junior lawyer is to ask this junior lawyer to tell me loudly what is the reason of this deliverable and why has this design in particular. So I can make sure that the criteria, the purpose is aligned with the machine, which is the goal at the end of the day, but it is a challenge.
Thank you. And what I think needs to happen in the market is that law firms need to work with law schools to make sure that while they are at law school and while they start working in a law firm, graduates and students are trained in the correct use of AI, in critical thinking and valuable judgment, and soft skills, leadership, client relationship, working in diverse teams, but the three of them need to start from law school and continue while they are starting their career. Yeah. And now last question, and I'm going to ask for a short response from each of you, is about competitiveness and the comparison between the European Union and the US. How do you think the European Union can be competitive in terms of regulation in what we offer to entrepreneurs? How do you compare one to the other? What is the situation of the European Union here? David, would you like to start?
Okay. Well, this is one of my favorite topics because I've always been very critical about European Union because for me, there is an excess of regulation, okay? We are pretty good, I always say, how does the saying go? The Americans invent, the Chinese copy, which is not exactly the same now, and the Europeans regulate, right? So generally, in Europe, we are first to regulate everything. Artificial intelligence is one of the examples that we had the first regulation, artificial intelligence in the world. And in any case, the European Union in the last 20 years has been losing a lot of competitiveness with the United States. We were more or less the same equal 20 years ago, and now we are lagging behind, but significantly, right? So that's something that we are doing wrong. If we go to the specific legal market and where we work, Amador, Pedro, and myself, we also do M&A, but specifically in venture capital, one of the things I always complain about is that we don't have a standardization in Spain. If you go to the United States or the United Kingdom, they have these model agreements for investment rounds. So every law firm, they follow these standard documents, and we don't have this in Spain. And this is something that should be the Spain CAP, which is the National Venture Capital and Private Equity Association, should take the lead on this and try to create some standard documents, which would facilitate a lot the negotiations. One of the good things about in Europe is that we have this proposal of EU Inc., the new EU Inc., and one of the good things about this proposal is that they are trying to create standard documents for this type of new companies to facilitate negotiations in investment rounds. So yeah, basically this. I leave it to you guys.
If I may, I would just add that we are somehow creating some standards by practice among us, the pretty much the active law firms we are creating, because we know what can be expected from the other in these transactions. But indeed, I agree with you that we should have an official standard, because there in the US, there are some things that are negotiated, and the principal dedicate and the lawyers dedicate time to some specific provisions that in the particular case could be relevant. but they are not losing time in generic provisions or the invention of a lawyer that presents something exotic, let's say. And yeah, it is something that it requires because, in fact, we receive, it happened to you, you may concur that sometimes the clients, the investors, American investors or English investors, they make reference to those standards.
Yeah,
so please, to the extent possible, please use this. So,
Pedro?
I don't have a short answer. Yeah, I mean, EU is the landscape of bureaucracy, is the paradise of bureaucracy, and a bureaucracy I typically call bureaucracy by overkilling, which is, I mean, is something that probably needs to be regulated, but is regulated so intense that make it, I mean, very difficult, and this is what we particularly suffer in the law landscape. I agree with you. I mean, I'm very excited with this proposal for regulation, that the plan is that maybe it is approved at the end of the year, or at least submitted for approval, which is the famous 28 regime, which is a regulation for a new type of company, which is the EU Inc., that will affect and will have a common regulation for a type of company for all the countries of the EU. In addition to that, well, if we go down to the AI space, I mean, we need to balance. I mean, I know I hate bureaucracy, but we need to balance between control and market. And in Europe, for example, when we're speaking about food, when we're speaking about pharmacy, I mean, I think I prefer overkilling that free market as in the US, no? So I don't know. I mean, you guys invented the rules with, let's say, visa attractiva, which applies to the world. They invented that for the securities market to try to rule the world, but we strike back. I mean, we strike back with the GDPR. The GDPR was the first regulation that affected worldwide. Any company having data for EU citizens or doing profiling of EU citizens would need to comply with the GDPR. This is what we're having right now with the AI Act. I mean, having said that, I mean, the standards are so high, I mean, and they will, if I'm not mistaken, they will enter into force this year in August, that will affect a lot our SMEs. I mean, and what we need to protect is this, our European small and medium companies, because the big guys from the EU, they will comply with the AI Act, and the small guys from EU, they would not mind the European clients, or probably it will be difficult to go against them. But I mean, our companies maybe will be affected with that.
So we end with this positive note of the creation of the European Inc., the European company, and also with this idea that AI is already helping the legal profession to move, to gain efficiency and to share this efficiency, this added value with its clients, while keeping the critical thinking and the valuable judgment in the human lawyer.
And by the way, I wasn't expected to speak about the Pope in this conversation, but I really like the encyclical, I mean, which is Magnificat Humanitas, which precisely put in valor, I mean, the conversation, the critical thinking, the humanity.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, Pedro, David, and Amador. It has been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.